Hotep, everybody. Hey, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecturer, and writer. It is Tuesday, November 21st, 2018. And I wanted to talk about this disturbing story dealing with Blac Chyna, reality TV star, Blac Chyna, former stripper, etc. And that's in her bio. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on her. But this deals with the skin bleaching cream called Whitenicious. The skin bleaching cream called Whitenicious. Okay. And I first found out about Whitenicious back in 2014. 2014. And it was introduced by a Cameroonian pop singer, Cameroonian Nigerian pop singer named Dinsia. Okay. So this story broke Monday, November 20th. Or actually, it broke November 19th, okay, which was Monday. Yeah, Monday, November 19th, I should say. TMZ broke the story. Face to Face Africa picked it up. The number 2 faceafrica.com. They picked it up. And also AtlantaBlackStar.com has an article about this as well, okay? So if we look at this, the article from Face to Face Africa is called Blac Chyna is heading to Nigeria to roll out new skin bleaching cream. Blac Chyna is headed to Nigeria to roll out new skin bleaching cream. And in the article, it says American entrepreneur, socialite, and former stripper, Blac Chyna, is going to Nigeria on her first ever trip to roll out a new skin bleaching cream produced in partnership with Whitenicious by Dinsia, a luxury skincare line owned by a controversial Cameroonian singer named Dinsia, and she's Nigerian and Cameroonian, okay? And now, like I said, I've been talking about Dinsia since 2014. There are articles going back then talking about her skin bleaching cream. Now, she markets it as a dark spot remover. She doesn't market it as a skin bleaching cream, but I'm going to show you before and after pictures of Dinsia, and you be the judge. Verastic, Verastic, Verastic.com had an article January 9th, 2014, entitled, Can We Talk About Dinsia's Whitenicious Dark Spot Remover? Can we talk about Dinsia's Whitenicious Dark Spot Remover? Then February of 2014, there was an article from dailymail.co.uk, dailymail.co.uk. Whitenicious is an abomination. African pop star is accused of selling skin bleach with controversial pigment-altering cream. This is from February 8th, was originally published February 7th, 2014. dailymail.co.uk. Whitenicious is an abomination. African pop star is accused of selling skin bleach with controversial pigment-altering cream, okay? So you can see these articles going back to 2014 talking about this. All right, so Blac Chyna's real name is Angela Renee White. Angela Renee White. And she will be in Lagos, Nigeria on Sunday, November 25th for her first official launch of the Whitenicious by Blac Chyna Diamond Illuminating and Lightening Cream, together with Dinsia, the pop star Dinsia, at a shopping event she announced on Instagram, okay? So let's bring up the share, because I want you to see this, because I want you to see I'm not making this up, right? And I had to go research this. I went to her Instagram account. I've read some different articles about this to verify this is true. This is not made up, okay? So let's pull this up here. I want you to see this here. All right. So we should be sharing now. Okay. All right. So here you see the what is that popping up? Okay. So here you see the this is what she posted on her Instagram account. Okay, this is Blac Chyna here. You see, this is from her Instagram account. Whitenicious invites you to discover the Whitenicious by Blac Chyna collection at our exclusive shopping event hosted by Blac Chyna, Sunday, November 25th, 2018, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Whitenicious by Densia. Okay, this is in Lagos, Nigeria. All right, so this is what she posted on her Instagram account. I'm not making this up. Now, her representatives, okay, let's go back. Okay, so her representatives told local American media that she has been using Whitenicious dark spot remover, a dark spot corrector for a few years to deal with hyperpigmentation, and the new product is for people of color who suffer from skin issues. According to TMZ, a fancy jar goes for $250. Now, here is a picture of Blac Chyna. Notice the blonde hair. We'll talk about that in a minute, okay? And I'm not attacking African-American women who have blonde hair, but we need to talk about this, especially in this specific instance. So this is Blac Chyna, all right? Now, here's Densia. Now, this is the woman who launched the skincare line, the spot remover used as skin bleaching cream, in 2014. This is Densia on the left. This was, I went to, back in 2014. I've been covering this story since 2014. I went to Densia's Twitter page. She had these images of herself on her Twitter page. This is Densia on the left, before Whitenicious. Notice her beautiful brown skin tone. This was a beautiful sister. Emphasis on was. Notice her hair was black. Then Densia after Whitenicious on the right. Okay, she looks pale. Okay, she looks pale. Notice the blonde hair. Before and after. Okay, now she says it's not a skin bleaching cream. Did she feel that her entire body was a dark spot? She didn't just use it on her face, she used it on the chest, her arms, her stomach, her legs. Okay? So we have to understand white supremacy is a global system. And we have to stand, even it's attacking our brothers and sisters on the continent of Africa. It's attacking in the Caribbean. It's attacking in Central America. Okay? And we have to understand that we are all recovering, we're all going through a 12-step process, recovering from the side effects of white supremacy and racism. And so many of us have been taught to hate ourselves. We know African Americans in this country have been stripped of our history and culture, okay? And your history and culture gives you your values, your interests, and your principles, all right? And your history and culture gives you your VIPs, your values, your interests, and your principles, and this influences how you see reality. This gives you your, this is tied to your self-esteem, your history and culture, your values, your interests, and your principles, but this also determines whose standard of beauty that you use. Whose standard of beauty do you compare yourself to? Do you use a European standard of beauty, or do you use an African standard of beauty? So even on the continent of Africa, even though many of them speak African languages and they have their culture intact more so than African Americans in general, they've still gone through various degrees. I mean, this is one of the results of colonialism. Okay, and even though many of them will have African culture more so than many of us here in this country, they're still dealing with, many of them still dealing with different types of self-hatred and aspects of self-hatred coming from white supremacy. Because of the European-controlled media that's projecting images in the continent of Africa, in this country, Central America, the Caribbean, etc., they've elevated the European phenotype as being the standard of beauty. as being superior. And if you see the documentary that's in the other article from, so this article from Face to Face Africa, they have a link to another article, a source article from Face to Face Africa from May 2nd, 2018, called "Skin Bleaching Isn't Passe in Africa. It's Just Been Rebranded." Skin bleaching isn't passe in Africa. It's just been rebranded. In that article is a video that deals with skin bleaching scandal in South Africa. Okay, and but there's another one. There's a little documentary in here. Everybody needs to see. It's called "Beauty and the Bleach." Beauty and the Bleach. Okay, and what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you this article quickly. I'm not going to play the video because I don't want any problems there. But let's go. Let me show you this. This is a source article here. This is from face-to-faceafrica.com. Now, this is an African news source. This is one I read every day. There are about 4 or 5 African news sources I read, and 2 or 3 I read on a daily basis. Face-to-Face Africa is one of them. Also, I try to read How Africa, howafrica.com. This is africa.me. OK Africa, I think okafrica.com, OKAY. But Face to Face Africa, in my opinion, they're like the best. All right. So we scroll down, they have this one here. Read this article, watch this video. Beauty and the Bleach. Senegalese women risk permanent skin damage for sake of lighter shade. We don't understand how big of an epidemic skin bleaching is. And it comes from a self-hatred because of the effects of white supremacy and racism. So we have to fight against this, and we have to deal with African standards of beauty. We have to fight against this because you have people who are dying from the skin bleaching creams, and they can cause cancer, high blood pressure, they can cause lesions, all different types of side effects, okay? Beauty and the Bleach. Watch that documentary. Beauty and the Bleach, skin whitening trend ravages Senegalese women, okay? All right, so let's go back to this one here. Okay, so once again, this is Densea, before and after, all right? And, okay, so let's continue with the article here. All right, so Cameroonian, okay, so, all right, it didn't see it. Okay, let me scroll down. So the US-based artist has insisted on several platforms that the cream is only for covering blemishes and hyperpigmentation, but not to shame dark-skinned women, okay? And this is what Densea says, and I guess this is what Blac Chyna says also. Some people, they don't feel confident, they don't feel pure, they don't feel clean with dark spots. I said 7-day fast-acting dark spot remover. It's called reading comprehension. If people miss that class, that's not my fault. I think that if they think their whole body is a dark spot, then fine, because that's not how I feel, end quote, she said in a television interview. So I think they are referring to Densea. Densea herself has gone through several phases of skin lightening, and she looks light-skinned as compared to her previous dark skin, as I just showed you. Now, skin bleaching is a major problem in Africa and diaspora communities across the world. Many women and men go through the risk of lightening their skins to be regarded as quote-unquote desirable and beautiful. Desirable and beautiful, end quote. Many skin bleaching creams include mercury, cortisone, and hydroquinone, okay? Chemicals that are linked to skin cancer, high blood pressure, thinning of the skin, other forms of cancer, kidney and liver failure, okay? This is, I mean, you remember in the movie Malcolm X, when Malcolm got his first conk and he was in the barbershop, and they put the lye in his hair, they put the concoction in his hair, concholine, and they put the line in his hair and it was burning his scalp, and then they took it off and washed it out. He said, oh, look, he said, it looks real white, doesn't it? Okay. This is like that type of self-hatred. So the risk associated with skin bleaching inspired Minnesota public health advocate Amira Adawe, Adawe, who has made it her personal mission to seek out shops selling skin bleaching creams and report their activities. The Somali anti-skin bleaching crusader is a manager for the Children's Cabinet of Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton, and she's the host of a weekly radio show dubbed Beauty Wellness Talk. Beauty Wellness Talk. She discusses the issues that prompt women to alter their skin, including colorism, self-esteem, social media, and self-hate. Colorism, self-esteem, social media, and self-hate. Okay? And we have to understand that African-American men, we are the European standard of beauty is fed to us as well. And then we put oftentimes this pressure on our women to emulate a European standard of beauty. So we want women with straight hair. We want women with light skin. We want women with blonde hair, many of us. Because like I said, all of us are going through a 12-step process, recovering from the side effects of white supremacy. Some of us are at step 1. Some of us are at step 5. Some of us are at step 10. Some of us have been at step 1 for 10 years. Some of us have backslid. But we have to understand this. We have to understand that we have to come out of this. And oftentimes, African-American men, we see this in the media, we see this in music videos, especially hip-hop videos. So you'll see a lot of the women in the hip-hop videos are dark-skinned with long hair or curly hair, okay? And it's sending these messages to our daughters that you will be more desirable if you look like this, okay? So in Africa, skin bleaching products have been outlawed in countries such as Ghana, Togo, South Africa, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, but the laws are not being implemented. The laws are not being implemented. There is still a high demand for skin bleaching products, which have now been rebranded as quote unquote toning or dark spot correction and lightening creams, okay? So the skin bleaching creams have been rebranded because the skin bleaching creams have been outlawed in these African countries. They've been rebranded as a toning cream, as a dark spot correction, but people put it all over their bodies, okay? Or a lightening cream. Okay, so we have to understand this. All right, now, and then you see the blonde hair as well. And because the European phenotype has been projected as the dominant phenotype in the standard of beauty, these European features have been projected as the features you want to have. The the slim nose, in some cases thinner lips, in some cases thicker lips like Kim Kardashian, as long as you have the light skin or the lighter complexion skin. But then the adoption of the blonde hair, because you had movies, you had sayings like blondes have more fun. Gentlemen prefer blondes, okay? I guarantee you, and then once again, let's look at this. I'm not trying to attack anybody, any of our sisters with blonde hair, or brothers for that matter, but this is something that we have to deal with, okay? I guarantee you, if having blonde hair was associated with being overweight and ugly and single and lonely, sisters would not be dyeing their hair blonde. It's only because they think it is advantageous to do so. It's only because it has been projected in magazines and movies and TV shows that this is desirable, that this is beautiful. If having blonde hair was associated with being ugly, I guarantee you they would not go through the trouble and spend money to dye their hair blonde. Okay, so we have to understand how the media has been involved in shaping our values, shaping the standard of beauty that we oftentimes subconsciously try to emulate. Okay, this is really deep. All right, so if we look at this other article here from face-to-faceafrica.com, skin bleaching isn't passe in Africa, it's just been rebranded, because that was a source article for the first one. Despite skin bleaching products being outlawed in countries such as Ghana, okay, we talked about that, Ghana, Togo, South Africa, Mali, it is estimated that 70% of Nigerian women, it's estimated that 70% of Nigerian women and 52% 52% and 67% of Senegalese women use skin lightening agents. Okay, they left something out. It's estimated that 70% of Nigerian women and 52% of Senegalese women use skin lightening agents. Okay, I think they left the country out right here. And let me go back here and see if they corrected it. I think they talk about that in the documentary. All right, so the conundrum lies in the products that are used to formulate skin bleaching creams and the likes. Many include mercury, cortisone, hydroquinone, chemicals linked to skin cancer, high blood pressure, thinning of the skin, and other forms of cancer and kidney and liver failure. The World Health Organization has specifically banned these chemicals due to their danger to individuals' health. The World Health Organization has specifically banned these chemicals due to their danger to individuals' health. Despite the dangers, the practice is still going strong. As Jackson Marcel said, quote, "Black people are seen as dangerous," end quote. "That's why I don't like being Black. People treat me better now because I look like I'm white." Okay, this deals with colorism. I mean, this deals with a long history of projecting the European skin tone, European phenotype as being superior, denigrating, dehumanizing African people, and then the treatment that those with lighter skin and those who look white, those who perceive themselves as being white, the difference in the way they are treated compared to the way that people of African descent are treated, those with darker skin. This has to do with a conditioning process that largely is projected through the media, and how our standards of beauty are influenced by the media we consume. And this is why we have to fight against this. This is why we have to reclaim African history and culture. Reclaim African history and culture. This is what gives us our VIPs, our values, our interests, and our principles. This gives us our standards of beauty. This gives us a cultural paradigm that we see reality through. And this also tells us what to fight against. And people's history and culture teaches them how to deal with the problems of the past, in the present, and the future to meet the needs of the community. People's history and culture teaches them how to deal with the problems of the past, in the present, and the future to meet the needs of the community. Okay. All right. So very quickly here, those in Detroit, I want to let you know I will be at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History Friday, November 23rd, day after Thanksgiving, for the Black Friday Marketplace. It's taking place 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's going on all day, free and open to the public. There'll be a number of African American vendors there, so you can come support African American businesses, recycle the dollars. There, Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, 315 East Warren Avenue in Detroit. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com for more information. We'll have a vendor table there for the African History Network, our DVD lectures. We'll have those there also. And African American business owners, hey, you can post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. Email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com to find out how to advertise with the African History Network. Also, we take your 30-second, 60-second audio commercial, put into the audio podcast of our Sunday night show, the African History Network show, and some of the broadcasts we do throughout the week. We're on 6 different podcast platforms. Each episode reaches thousands of people across the country. We're on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, Castbox, Acast, FM Player, TuneIn.com. Just search for the African History Network show wherever you get your podcasts, and you can listen to our show also. So email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, okay? And we also have the Meltrek animated series for children to teach our children our history, okay? It combines conscious hip-hop and animation to teach ancient African history and pre-Columbian history. All that's available at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We also have the coloring book and the full color storybook as well from Meltrek, okay? And this teaches our children their history. We also have these in a bundle pack, or you can buy them individually. That's all at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, okay? As well as the 8 DVD bundle pack, The Africans That Were Here Before Columbus, The Africans That Were Here Before Columbus. All right, so let's go back to this article here from Face to Face Africa. Skin bleaching has evolved to toning, dark spot correction, and lightening. Now, pregnant women in Ghana have even taken to ingesting pills that will lighten the skin of their unborn children. Now, this is sick, okay? But this is white supremacy is a global system, okay? I can't stress this enough. And the concept of white supremacy evolves as Europeans are coming out of the Dark Ages and they start to circumnavigate the globe. We're talking about late 1400s, early 1500s. They see the majority of the world is not European. They see when the men intermix and have sex with the women in these areas that they're going into, the child comes out, the child is of a darker pigmentation. So they realize that if they don't put certain measures in place, that they can become genetically wiped off the face of the earth. And when you understand racism, it has nothing to do with not liking people or calling people racial epithets or things like this. Racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race that comes out of the ideology of European white supremacy. Racism occurs when one race of people control the majority of the wealth, power, resources, privileges, land, access to education, access to opportunity, media, jobs, etc., healthcare, etc. And they use this to marginalize, subordinate, and do harm to another race of people, okay? This is done for the purpose of preserving genetic white survival. Now, I'm not saying that all white people subscribe to white supremacy, okay? You have some that do, all right? But we have to understand that racism is the power structure. It is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race. So when you understand history, you can see this taking place. And Christopher Columbus helped to spread, Christopher Columbus on his 4 voyages from 1492 to 1504, he helped to lay the foundation for slavery, racism, capitalism, and the exploitation of indigenous people. These are some of the things I deal with in the online courses that I teach that are all on demand. They're available at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. They include ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And that's a 14-hour, 7-session online course that I teach, and I deal with Columbus, I deal with ancient Egypt, deal with the 800-year occupation by Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. And we have to understand that when the Moors go in 711 AD, and there are waves of them going in after that, these Moorish men are intermixing with these white women. and they're changing the complexion of some of these Europeans. This is why. So they go in through Morocco, 711 AD. Spain and Portugal is right above Morocco. This is where they go in first. Okay. And historically, you look at the complexion of the Spanish and the Portuguese, it was darker than those of the English, okay, who were further away from Spain and Portugal, okay, because there were more Moors there in Spain and Portugal because it's right above Morocco than there were in England. But they're going to go into England, but not as many, okay? They go into Austria and Germany. This is how you get names like Schwarzenegger, okay? Because Schwarz means dark or swarthy, and Neger is Austrian and German for Negro. So when you have somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is from Austria, in bodybuilding, he was known as the Austrian Oak. Schwarzenegger means, basically, it can mean the dark plowman, P-L-O-W, or it can refer to the dark Negro. It's basically in reference to a Moor. Okay, so we have, unfortunately, pregnant women in Ghana who have, some of them are ingesting pills that will lighten the skin complexion of their unborn children. The effects are damage to the limbs and internal organs and additional birth defects. This is how mentally damaged some of our sisters are in Ghana. Then there are advocates dedicated to assuring that women with dark skin, then there are advocates dedicated to assuring women with dark skin that they are beautiful. So we have Amira Adaway, the Somali American woman who I told you about, who's a radio talk show host and has got women calling in to the show to discuss the societal and cultural pressures that lead them to alter their skin tone. Now, Amira says of skin lightening, quote, a lot of it ties to colonization. A lot of it ties to colonization. Certain skin colors were more accepted in the society, okay? But through the years, it became so embedded in the culture to where it's become normal. If you are light-skinned, you're more accepted. And this is why the film Black Panther resonated with so many people and was so popular here in this country. It was popular in Africa as well, but especially here in this country, because one, you saw dark skin, especially women, you saw dark skin, beautiful dark skinned women doing fantastic things. They were not the damsel in distress. They were the heroes of the movie, like Lupita Nyong'o's character of Nakia. And we saw Letitia Wright, who was the engineer who created all of these wonderful gadgets and things like this. She was Shuri. She played Shuri. So we saw dark-skinned women. We saw Angela Bassett, who was the stepmother to T'Challa. That's not his birth mother. That's his stepmother. Ramonda, his birth mother, died a few days after he was born. T'Challa, who became the Black Panther. So Ramonda is his stepmother. Shuri is his stepsister. Okay, when you understand the Marvel comic universe and study the history of the Black Panther. So you can get the lectures I've done dealing with the Black Panther. We have them on digital download. We have them in a eight digital download Black Panther bundle pack, or you can buy them individually as well. We have them on DVD also at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. But we saw these beautiful dark-skinned women, Danny Gurira as well, who played General Okoye, and they had natural hairstyles, or they had, or they were bald as well. Okay, so these are things that really resonated with people. So Amira says of skin lightening, a lot of it ties to colonization. Certain skin colors were more accepted in the society, but through the years, it became so embedded in the culture to where it has become normal, okay? To where it's become normal. If you're light-skinned, you're more accepted, end quote. Long-held notions about what quote unquote suitable skin color is are still proving to have a stronghold on the mentality of Blacks and other ethnic groups. It runs deeper than just beauty and appearance. Okay. So check out this article. This is written by Farida Dawkins for face-to-faceafrica.com. And once again, watch the documentary that's in here called Beauty and the Bleach. Skin whitening trend ravages Senegalese women. Okay. That's extremely, extremely important. All right. So we saw the article from TMZ, because TMZ broke this story on November 19th. And I want you to see Blac Chyna here also, before and after. Okay, now her spokesperson has said she's been using Whitenicious for a few years now, right? So here we have Blac Chyna. This is from the promotion on her Instagram page on the left, her with the my left, her promoting. She's going to be in Nigeria November 25th. You see her with the lighter skin. Okay. Now I'm not sure if her whole body had hyperpigmentation because her arms, her hands are lighter skin. Here she is in 2016. Okay. Okay. And if this is before Whitenicious, or she had just started using, I'm not sure. But you see, she's a darker complexion. She's a little darker here. Okay, her hands, all this stuff. And what you notice is when they use Whitenicious, you notice it's an unnatural, their skin complexion when it's lightened, it's like an unnatural lightened skin color as well. All right, so this is something very disturbing. Then they also show Sammy Sosa, because he's been going through some type of process as well. All right. Okay. So now, those in Nigeria, I mean, in Nigeria, if they haven't already started, they have to start fighting back. Like, people who know this is wrong in Nigeria need to start fighting back. Okay. And denouncing this, saying this is wrong. Because people are dying from this. Okay. Not specifically Whitenicious, but the skin bleaching creams. I don't know about Whitenicious, but the skin bleaching creams in general, there have been deaths and things like this surrounding it. There was an article from AfricanGlobe.net from January 3rd, 2013. January 3rd, 2013, AfricanGlobe.net. The skin bleaching epidemic in Africa and the diaspora. The skin bleaching epidemic in Africa and the diaspora. And it talks about South Africa is marketed to the world as Mandela's Rainbow Nation, where everyone is proud of their race and heritage. But for some Black South Africans, there is such a thing as being too Black. A recent study by the University of Cape Town suggests that 1 woman in 3 in South Africa practice skin bleaching. The reasons for this are varied as the culture. The reasons for this are as varied as the cultures in this country, but most people say they use skin lighteners because they want quote unquote white skin. All right. And they interviewed a local musician there, Nomasanto, who Miss Hosa, Nomasanto Miss Hosa, nickname Miss Hosa, who is now several shades lighter. She says her new skin makes her feel more beautiful and confident. Her new light skin makes her feel more beautiful and confident. She has been widely criticized in the local media and social networking sites for her appearance, but the 30-year-old says skin bleaching is a personal choice, no different from breast implants or having a nose job. Well, it's a little different than that. Quote, I've been Black and dark skinned for many years. I wanted to see the other side. This is what she said. I wanted to see what it would be like to be white, and I'm happy, end quote, she says candidly. Okay, so there's a deep-seated self-hatred that comes from that's projected to us and fed to us by the European media. And when you see the European controlled media and those even of African descent who have a European colonized mind, when you see the video, the little documentary that's in the article from Face to Face Africa, the documentary called Beauty and the Bleach, okay, skin whitening trend ravages. Let me see, what's the full name of this? It's 26 minutes and 33 seconds. Beauty and the Bleach, skin whitening trend ravages Senegalese women. Okay, now this is from RT, and I guess it's RTA, and that's Russia Today. Okay, I don't subscribe to them, but there's good information in this documentary, and you can cross reference it as well. Okay, I'm not a big fan of Russia Today. That's state TV, state of Russian TV. I'm not a big fan of it, but this is information that you can cross-reference. You don't just have to take their word for it. But one of the things they show you in this documentary is in Senegal, they're driving down the street and you see billboards. And the billboards, most of the billboards that are promoting beauty products and things like this and have models in them, these are lighter skinned people, especially lighter skinned women, that they're projecting. And you keep going down the street, you keep seeing this day after day after day, and this is a standard of beauty, okay? And then you think, well, hey, if I acquiesce to this standard of beauty, if I lighten my skin, if I straighten my hair, then maybe I can get a better job. Maybe I could get a job as a model. You know, maybe I can move up in society. So what we see is that there is a reward system in place to reinforce these white supremacist images, this white supremacist ideology. There's a reward system, okay? Better jobs. The other thing is that you can get a husband. You can get, okay, because if we look at Lupita Nyong'o, and I wrote an article about this back May 9th, 2016. You can read all of my articles at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, okay? Right on the homepage, just click on Read Articles by Michael Imhotep. I wrote an article called Lupita Nyong'o Explains Why She Prayed to God to Make Her Light Skin, okay? Now, she's from Kenya, okay? Lupita Nyong'o, we saw her first in 12 Years a Slave, and then also we know she is in Black Panther as Nakia. And there was a story from April 23rd, 2014. Thursday, April 23rd, 2014. That was the day that People magazine named Lupita Nyong'o as the most beautiful person. Okay, and she was on the cover of People magazine. But ABC World News Tonight with Diane Sawyer did a story that talked about colorism, and it talked about Lupita Nyong'o. Okay, and Deborah Roberts was the one who did this piece. She was an African-American journalist, and she conducted some interviews, and Diane Sawyer talked about this piece and interviewed Deborah Roberts. But Deborah Roberts, reporting for ABC, did a story about colorism and the effects of the media on our children. Lupita Nyong'o was speaking at an Essence magazine awards banquet or something like that. And Lupita Nyong'o said that when she was a child growing up in Kenya, she had one wish. And she wished that God would make her light skinned. Every night when she prayed, she before she went to bed, she prayed that God would make her light skinned. Okay? Now, many people have argued with me claiming that the media has no effect on our children, and there's no problem with our women dyeing their hair blonde, straightening their hair, etc. Now, in the video, and I have the video, and I have a link to the video in this article. In the video, Dr. Deidre Royster, who's a PhD, she's a sociologist from New York University, did a study with a group of young girls of different ethnic groups and with the female dolls. So they did like the doll test that Dr. Kenneth Clark and his wife, Dr. Mamie Clark, did back in 1939, right around 1939. And this was used as part of the evidence for the Brown versus Board of Education desegregation case of 1954. Now, the girls continued to choose the white doll with the blonde hair as the pretty doll. They continued to choose the white doll with the blonde hair as the pretty doll. So they had white girls, African-American girls, Hispanic, Asian. Dr. Deidre Royster, let me see. So when asked by Deborah Roberts, the reporter, quote, "What does that say to you about the message they're getting?" End quote. Dr. Deidre Royster, a white woman, replied, quote, "Blonder, lighter, more European features are still seen as the most desirable," end quote. Now, this is not me saying it. This is what Dr. Deidre Royster, who's a white female sociologist with a PhD, she's a professor at New York University. She's the one who conducted the study. This is what she said. Blonder, lighter, more European features are still seen as the most desirable, end quote. So what happens to our children when they put this? I asked the question, what happens to our children when they put a higher value on European features than their own features? What are we telling them? And why are some of our parents too ignorant to protect them from this? Not ignorant meaning stupid, but ignorant meaning not knowing. If you do not understand European white supremacy and racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you think that you understand will totally confuse you, as Dr. Frances Cress Welsing and Nellie Fuller correctly taught us, okay? And in this article, I also talk about hip hop artist Lil' Kim, who's going through some type of, it appears, skin bleaching as well. And I show pictures of Lil' Kim from her Instagram page. She posted pictures. It's clear she's had some type of plastic surgery, but also her skin is considerably lighter as well. Okay, and what this also speaks to is how when you have money and you still suffer from, say, self-hatred, many times you can do something destructive with that money, okay? Because you have the money for the plastic surgery, you have the money for the skin bleaching regimen, etc. So I was trying to pull that article up, but let me see if I can Google it. I'll show you a picture here. So the name of the article that I wrote is called Lupita Nyong'o Explains Why She Prayed to God to Make Her Light Skinned. Let's see if we can pull this up here. Just a second. Thought I had this article bookmarked, but I did not. All right. So, and in the article, I said that if we look at recent pictures of let's see if it's come up. All right, it's not coming up. Or maybe it is. Let's see here. I said if we look at recent pictures posted by hip hop artist Lil' Kim, this was back in 2016. On her Instagram page, we can see an example of self-hatred that is perpetuated by white-controlled media. This can cause low self-esteem, self-hatred, and a tendency for people, especially African-American women, to try to achieve a European standard of beauty to achieve acceptance and status. All right, and trying to see if I can find this. So the story goes on to say that the story from ABC World News Tonight, Deborah Roberts and Diane Sawyer, quote, TV may be partly to blame. 76% of the faces we see are white and just 16% are black. They were specifically talking about primetime TV at the time, which might explain the girls' response when asked who they would prefer to look like. The girls prefer to look like the doll with the blonde hair, the white doll with the blonde hair, okay? Now, in a November 3rd, 2014 interview with Glamour magazine, Lupita Nyong'o was asked, quote, "You've received lots of attention for your looks. Did you grow up feeling beautiful?" Lupita Nyong'o replied, quote, "European standards of beauty are something that plague the entire world. The idea that darker skin is not beautiful, that light skin is the key to success and love. Africa is no exception. Africa is no exception." She went on to say, "When I was in the 2nd grade, one of my teachers said, quote, where are you going to find a husband? How are you going to find someone darker than you? I was mortified." This is what Lupita Nyong'o said, okay? And I'm reminded, one of my teachers, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, talks about how whoever controls the images controls your self-esteem, self-respect, and self-development. Whoever controls the history controls the vision. So then we see that when we look at Lil' Kim talked about how she felt. I think I have a link to an article about Lil' Kim. News1.com had an article about this, but she talked about how she felt she did not feel beautiful, darker skin, okay? And she said that when she was younger, her boyfriends would usually cheat on her with women who have more European features. So she gets into hip hop, she hits it big, she makes money. What does she do? You see her wearing the blonde hair, you see her getting plastic surgery, and then you see over the years bleaching her skin as well, okay? Using skin bleaching creams. So this is once again coming from a self-hatred, feeling that she wasn't worthy, etc. Okay, so I mean, this is, you know, what you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've heard and seen about yourself. So we have to understand that we have to attack these negative images that are put out of African people. And also we have to understand the impact that white supremacy has on us. When I say white supremacy, I'm not saying that white people are superior. I'm talking about an ideology where some white people think they are superior, but more importantly, the European, we're operating based upon European standards of beauty. It's being projected that European culture is superior, etc. Okay, this is dealing with understanding white supremacy. Okay, and we have to fight it. So we have to take back control of our minds. This is the foundation. We have to take back control of our minds. Bantu Stephen Biko, one of our great South African freedom fighters, he said the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. The most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. So we have to take our minds back. And we do that by reclaiming African history and culture, which gives us our foundation. It gives us our values, our interests, and our principles. It influences our economic empowerment, influences our political empowerment, okay? when we talk about African Americans spending 97% of our dollars with people that don't look like us, one of the reasons why is because we have been taught to hate ourselves. Subconsciously, we hate ourselves. So we are trying to consume our way to equality, many of us, and we're buying products, continue to buy products from people, oftentimes who have shown a disdain for us, but we're trying to emulate that to boost our self-esteem. So we're trying to emulate them to boost our self-esteem. Okay. So we have to understand how this works. All right. And this is why reclaiming African history and culture is so important. It gives us the cultural paradigm that we see reality through. And it helps us to fight back. Okay. It helps us to fight back. And I have to see, is that article still up? Well, I think I can show you pictures of Lil' Kim. I have to see what happened to that article of mine. And I think it's on Your Black World's website also, because I write for Your Black World as well. I may have to upload it again to my site. Let's see, because I wanted you to see Lil' Kim. Okay, yeah, newsone.com had an article about this. Then with Lil' Kim. Lil' Kim's selfies dredge up colorism debate. That's from April 26, 2016. Lil' Kim's selfies dredge up colorism debate. If you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show. Okay. Let's see. What type of pictures do they have here? Let's try to share this so you can see it. Okay, then it goes to a commercial. So Yaba Blade, PhD and author of the book One Drop, Shifting the Lens on Race, joined guest host Angela Rye on News One Now to discuss the controversy surrounding Lil' Kim's altered appearance and how colorism continues to have an impact on the psyche of African American women. Angela Rye began the segment expressing her views on the Kardashian phenomenon. She said, quote, "We're living in a society where everybody says Kim Kardashian is the way we need to look, when the way Kim Kardashian looks right now, that's not the way she looked. She's had so much plastic surgery. Y'all need to quit with the Kardashian stuff." Okay. Dr. Blaze said, quote, "I was sad when I saw the image of Lil' Kim on Sunday because that's not the Kim that so many of us look to. She thinks she's always represented a kind of in-your-face, unapologetic self-love for us, and she's carried us through some kind of sexual liberation," end quote. Okay, so she went on to say she's ours, later stating, quote, "I really wanted to talk to her directly because it makes me sad. It makes me sad that there aren't enough images. There's not enough affirmation for her to know that she doesn't have to do that. She doesn't have to go through those extremes to be accepted, to be seen as beautiful," end quote. Okay, so yeah, this is what we're dealing with. And let me see if I could pull up picture. And this was Angela. This was Angela Ray, not Angela Rye. Sorry, Angela Ray. It's a different woman. All right, let's see if we can share this here. So these were, this is what Lil Kim posted on her Instagram page back in 2016 of her looking like what she looked like in 2016. It looks like a totally different woman than Lil Kim that was with the Junior Mafia. You see her skin is significantly lighter. You see the blonde hair. So this is deep. Okay. All right. So check out these articles here. And oh, you know what? Let me see. There was one from, oh, so this is from Verastic. This is one of the first ones. This is from January 2019. I got to show you this also. This is called "Can We Talk About Densia's Whitenicious Dark Spot Remover?" This is once again another picture of Densia promoting this. She promotes it as a 7-day fast-acting dark spot remover, but apparently she used it all over her body though. Okay, so this is a huge problem. Okay, here's another before and after picture of Densia as well. This was on her Twitter page because back in 2014, like I said, I went to her Twitter page and I saw it before and after. Okay, as well, before and after Nigerian and Cameroonian pop singer, pop star Densia has defended her skin cream Whitenicious after critics branded it an abomination for promoting skin bleaching. Okay, so on the left you see a picture of her 2011, and on the right it's a picture of her in 2014. Okay, now this picture she has black hair, but we saw other pictures of her with the blonde hair as well. Okay, and this is another promotion for it. Okay, say goodbye to pigmentation and spots forever. Okay, Whitenicious. All right. So, hey, everybody in Detroit, I'll be at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, Friday, November 23rd, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. For the Black Friday Marketplace, come support African American owned businesses, circulate your dollars with African American owned businesses, then go out to the malls, then go out to the shopping malls. And, you know, I was at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church on Saturday and Sunday. This past Saturday and Sunday, they had a pre-Black Friday marketplace. So I was a vendor there. And it caused me to think, come up with this idea of economic empowerment Sundays, economic empowerment Sundays. In every African-American church across the country, or even just 50% of African-American churches across the country did this, right? But the first Sunday of each month, okay, if in these churches they had African-American vendors, African-American businesses as vendors, maybe in the eating area, in the basement or somewhere in the church. Have 10 vendors, 15 vendors. And before and after services, the congregation can go and shop with the vendors. Do this the first Sunday of each month, Economic Empowerment Sundays. Okay, the reason why is because in many African American communities, they have more money at the beginning of the month than at the end of the month. So do this the first Sunday. So you can circulate millions of dollars in the African American community if we do this. All right. And I'm trying to see how many African American churches are there. In the U.S. Let's see. But this can, we know we have thousands of African American churches in the U.S. And let's see if we can See these numbers here on Wikipedia. Trying to see how many there are. But this can help circulate our dollars. This can help support African-American owned businesses. A lot of these businesses don't have brick and mortar stores because they're trying to keep the overhead low, okay? But but do this, you do this 12 times a year, okay? Then also, what you can do is have something like this for Kwanzaa as well, okay? And you can come get your Kwanzaa gifts from these African-American owned businesses, have these holiday bazaars, have this marketplace right there in the church. All right, looking at Pew Research, something should say how many Black churches are in the United States. I'm surprised that doesn't just come up. Let's see here. At answers.google, what is the total number of Black churches? Somewhere around 69,000 is estimated, it looks like. So approximately 70,000 African-American churches. If half of that, okay, if just half of that, which is 35,000, if 35,000 churches had 10 vendors, 10 African-American owned vendors, that's 350,000 vendors in those churches, okay? And if they did on average, just say they did on average, just say hypothetically, they did on average $200 a month at the church. Hold on, let me back this up. So say you had 350,000 African-American owned businesses that are at 35,000 churches, right? And say they do $200 a month. Say they do $200 in 1 month at the church, first Sunday. That's $70 million. Okay, 350,000 businesses, if they do on average $200 on one Sunday, that's $70 million. Okay, multiply that by 12 Sundays. Multiply that by 12 Sundays. That's $840 million circulated in African-American owned businesses in the churches. 840 million. That's shy of $1 billion. Okay, that's just implementing economic empowerment Sundays. All right. So you have approximately 70,000 African-American churches. If 35,000, if half of them, if 35,000 had 10 Black-owned businesses, 10 African-American owned vendors, the first Sunday of each month, okay, then that would be 350,000 African-American owned businesses, basically 35,000 times 10. If those businesses did on average $200, okay, in one Sunday, that's $70 million that they do. You multiply that by 12 Sundays, okay, that's $840 million. And then this gives them money to spend with other African-American owned businesses, because we should spend at least 10%. Right now we spend 3%. We go from 3% to 10%. There's an, if you read the article that I wrote, Why Does a Dollar Only Last 6 Hours in the African American Community? It's at my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And I cited a study by the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University. This is one of the top business schools in the country. And they did a study and they found that if 100,000 African American families that had annual incomes of $75,000 or more, if they spent one out of every $10 or 10% with African American owned businesses, it would create between 500,000 to 1 million jobs. Okay. The name of the article: Why is the lifespan of a dollar? Why is the lifespan of a dollar only 6 hours in the African American community? How to recycle our $1.2 trillion economy. Okay, and now that statistic, a dollar only lasts 6 hours in the African American community. I researched that. I can't find any legitimate sources for that. So don't get caught up on that. That was a segment of News One Now with Roland Martin, and I picked up on that segment. We have the video or a link to that segment in the article also. But what's more important is the study by the Kellogg School of Management. And Washington Post has an article about this also. But that's what's most important, okay? If 100,000, if a study by the Kellogg School of Management found that between 500,000 and 1 million jobs could be created if higher income African Americans, basically 100,000 households that have annual incomes of $75,000 or more, that they spend one out of every $10 with African American owned businesses, this is what this can generate, okay? So that's extremely important. All right, so check out that, read that article also. And we'll post this in the thread of the broadcast, also in the description of the broadcast. All right, so churches should implement Economic Empowerment Sundays. And then for Kwanzaa, in addition to like Holiday Bazaar, you can also organize the Kwanzaa Crawl, like Carrie Cadet did out of Brooklyn, New York. And I talked about this back in 2016 and 2017. AtlantaBlackStar.com has an article about this. But what she and two of her friends did, they wanted to make Kwanzaa cool again, introduce Kwanzaa to millennials. So they combined economic empowerment with Kwanzaa, with culture. And they created a Kwanzaa Crawl, took the concept of cash mobbing, combined it with Kwanzaa. So they organized about 1,700 people in 2.5 weeks. They broke up into about groups of 100, and they went and targeted 17 African-American owned businesses. This was on a Monday, the first day of Kwanzaa, December 26, 2016. And they targeted thousands of dollars to these African-American owned businesses on a day that many of them were closed. Okay, they call it the Kwanzaa Crawl. AtlantaBlackStar.com has an article about this. Kwanzaa event attracts hundreds to support Black-owned businesses. Kwanzaa event attracts hundreds to support Black-owned businesses, okay? So these are all things that are doable. This is not far-fetched. These are all things that are doable. And they can help to greatly improve our economic condition. And this will help recycle dollars, but this also gives us money to leverage to enforce our political agenda as well, to help finance campaigns, run better quality candidates, but to also help enforce our politics, enforce our political agenda also, okay? All right, so look, we have to get out of here. Hey, remember at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.